It's a new school feel for an old school circuit that has been one that has had so much revelry around it. In the shadow of the legendary Mount Fuji here in Japan, it is the Fuji Speedway, where the fourth round of your Lotus 49 Grand Prix legends brings themselves into play in 2025 Season 2. But the question is, nobody wants to drop out at this moment in time, but who is going to be the game changer? My name is Jake Sperry here on the Global Sim Racing channel, joined with Ryan Walker alongside with me for today's action. Christian Deploy is in the director's chair and he's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But to a Fuji Speedway that has been known for Formula One, that has been known for the JGTC and the GT300, GT500 championships out there and everything you can throw in between, including the cycling Olympic time trial and road race finishes here around this track. We'll get a little look at what makes this circuit tick with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Fuji International Speedway. Built right at the foot of the picturesque Mount Fuji and a mere 1.5 hour drive southwest of Tokyo, it certainly resides in a prime location. Having been around since 1967, this place is perhaps most well known for its presence in the classic video game Pole Position. However, its modern incarnation looks nothing like it did back when that game came out in 1982. At just under 3 miles, or 4.5 kilometers, its two layouts have 14 and 16 turns, which is significantly more than what it started with. Without the banking that used to be a part of the first and final corners, its most notable feature nowadays is the front stretch that covers nearly a full mile. The turns that make up the other half of the track make for quite a technical challenge. It includes everything from the long sweeper of 100R to the tight confines of hairpin, to the finicky back and forth of nets. This place hosted Formula One back in the 70s and again in the later 2000s, but it has a much stronger history hosting endurance racing. Sports cars are still a heavy staple here. That's not to say open-wheelers don't still call this place home, though. Lower-level formulas, as well as Japan's popular Super Formula, make frequent visits. From humble origins in sim racing's history to arriving 40 years later on iRacing, Fuji has been a fan favorite for a long, long time.
It's got one of the longest front stretches in all of motorsport. That run to the TGR corner will be so important. But this is a track where you do find opportunities out there and you have to be a little bit more creative to find that run. No chicane layout here today, Ryan, which means the Dunlop corner doesn't become an overtaking place as easier as it would be.
Yeah, absolutely, Jake. This Fuji track, one of my favourites on the iRacing platform. And yeah, as you see right there on the screen, it's 2.78 miles in length for 4.848 kilometres. First opened in 1965 and located in Oyama. And yeah, it's got 14 turns. Your best passing opportunities around here, is like you say, is heading down to that turn 1 TGR corner. But the last corner is so crucial though, because you've got to carry that speed on the exit of the Panasonic corner, because you've got such a long straight and a long run. And I think the slipstream is going to be a big factor here. And then head down to Coca-Cola corner. You can possibly make moves, but it requires a driver in front of you to make a mistake. And then you've got that long right-hander, the 100R corner. It just feels like you're turning right for an eternity. And then, like you say, you've got no Dunlop chicane today, so it's pretty much you could technically you could still call it the Dunlop corner, but instead of the chicane, you've got another straight heading up to that long twisty section. And then in the middle of that, you've got the GR Supra corner. So you've got a long straight, but you've got technical corners as well, Jake. And I think the name of the game for today's race is going to be trying to keep out of trouble and letting drivers in front of you make a mistake and then pouncing when the opportunities arise.
It is a very deceptive circuit. It's a very wide circuit out there here at Fuji, and you've got a lot of runoff to go and play with as well if you do get it wrong. So you can get away with a little bit of trouble here, but don't let that lull you into a false sense of security. The first half of the lap, relatively unchanged from its run in the 1990s, but it is that back half of the section from turn 10 over to turn 14, the Panasonic corner, where the track has had its biggest drastic change with the sections of circuit that we've had. It's been an interesting opening quarter to this championship, so we will get an understanding of what has happened over the course of this season. It is Aldrius Valenteus who currently has himself on the top at the moment. After back-to-back victories, he's looking for 3 in a row today. 13 points clear of Jorge Nieva, who is there in second. Bill Tyler holds himself in a very competitive third place with Gary Ho and John Olsen fourth and fifth. Then it's Seb Tixier in sixth with Nicola Cocchi there in seventh. And it's nice to see Nicola Cocchi there in seventh overall. You've then got Matthew Keane in eighth, tied on points with Robert Plumley in a battle of the streamers, ninth and 10th. Robert Plumley dealing with Xavier Sanchez, Heike 360 ES, a former Porsche All-Star, who sits at 10th in the F1 driver standings. But there is an important distinction between F1 and F2. That is the iRating out there. And Ryan, the F2 standings look just as enticing.
Yeah, absolutely. Still close at the top of the standings with Roberto Pangrazzi currently leading, one from Jonathan Jourdain in second. And then you've got Matt London in third with 30 points back. And then you've got Ben Summers, another of the famous Twitch streamers, if you like, in fourth, with Thomas Tuba in fifth. And then the Swede Tobias Hermve in sixth. And then you've got Donald Peake seventh with Thomas Willehausen in eighth, Eric Essery in ninth, and Adam King rounding out the top 10.
Looks like it's going to be a busy field today for F1 and F2 championship points, so do keep that in mind as they go. The Cup of Nations currently in control of Lithuania through Valenteus, and then in second, Spain, courtesy of Jorge Nieva. Following that, it's Singapore ahead of the United States and Italy, fourth and fifth. United Kingdom find themselves in sixth, just about staving the challenge of Australia away, with Finland, Sweden, and Denmark all finding themselves very, very close. So at least for the moment, it is going to be a rather close battle that they are going to bring themselves in, as we are not too far away from the start of qualifying effort. But let's run through what makes a race like this today happen and what they're dealing with. Round 4 of 12, 21 laps worth of racing available to them today. Open setups are in the order, so they do have the ability to tweak what they are dealing with. No spare car available to them. A drive-through at 17, a disqualification at 25. I would call that your bread and butter, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think you probably think, oh, it's not, it doesn't look that difficult when it comes to track limits or going wide, but especially through that Coca-Cola corner, I found during the week when I was doing some practice laps, it's so easy to run wide just because you're pushing so hard, and it can be easy to pick up those off tracks. And I think that's going to be one thing for these drivers to keep in mind. Patience, just not doing anything too rash in the early stages, and just let the race pan out.
Yeah, qualifying has just got itself started. They've got 8 minutes of their qualifying session to work with. Not very long at all when you put it together. And they only are allowed 2 qualifying laps to put onto the board. Anything more than that doesn't count and is just practice for all of these drivers. So down the hill with the number 6 machine, we focus and heading over towards that fast Dunlop curve. And you can see how the car bounces over there on the inside. You can't be too aggressive, and you can't be too timid as you go through that section. You're very much playing the Goldilocks line up through the hill on these 2 off-camber corners. This is GR Supra corner here, turn number 13, leading to that final corner of Panasonic, where you've got to take this incredibly wide line here, Ryan, to start the lap off. It's such a late apex up the hill.
Absolutely, and it's one of those corners as well. You get so tempted to take a tighter line as well. It's just a force of habit around this track. But like you say, you've got to take a wider line to start the lap. And I actually find from my practice, I find the wider line seems to work in general, because it just allows you to get back in the power early and carry that speed down straight.
Yep, and down that straight we go with here Arturas Kundelis here, who will be racing in the Nations Cup here for Lithuania through the opening section of the circuit, out of TGR corner, over towards Coca-Cola, turn number 3, out on track. It's a sharp left-hand bend, and you're almost aiming for the bollard there on the left-hand side without tagging it as you go. Now through the long right of 100R, and you're looking for the latest time you can put the power down on the exit and get right over to the right-hand side. Open up the Advan corner here, this left-hander at turn 6. Very shallow there from Kundelis, so I wonder whether he's gearing up for a second lap.
It's quite possible. I mean, that normally depending on what car, what series you're racing, normally the first lap it's kind of a warm yourself up lap. The second lap seems to be the banker, with the tyres being more up to temperature. As you come up to this twisty section that I was talking about, it's kind of as I like to call it, a Mickey Mouse section, because you're going, you're stopping, you're going, you're stopping, and it's one of those for me, it's one of those impatient sections. You just want to get up to speed really quickly, but yeah, it's just one of those things that you've got to deal with as Candelas comes round the final corner.
Yeah, and so we will soon see the first times then lighting up the timing screens as Candelas makes that charge over towards the line, and with that first effort on the board, over 134.8 we see then as a time. So that gives you all you need to know. Nicola Cocchi going quickest on a 34.5 then, setting the pace then at the front in the Martini 5. So at least for the moment, the Megasim car doing exactly what it needs to. Verbruggen in second, Zamayoa in third, and Seb Tixier over the line goes fourth fastest. You can see how the car dips as Mick Claridge has come to play today. Legend that he is. Third in terms of iRacing, first on the timing screen by a 1/10.5.
Absolutely, and as we look at Tixier at the moment, they running the VR system, and I've always liked his rig as well, because I've always found it cool as well. A bit of a nostalgia with the 49 wheel as well, so that's a cool thing to see.
It is really cool, and you can see the motion rig that he's got there, giving him all the senses as he goes through the corner. And the one thing I love about that, H-pattern shifter. You don't see it too much right now in the current sim racing sphere.
Absolutely, and always intrigues me to see what sort of setups that people are running, but it looks like Tixier's, just watch him at the moment, it looks like he's on a quicker lap, from what I see. But this is probably the section that can make or break a lap, because you can either lose the time or gain the time, depending on how you take it.
5 metres either way, can see you understeering about 5 metres off the circuit, can see you losing and scrubbing all of that pace, and he's really trying to get that turn. Bill Tyler improving. Nicola Cocchi second lap goes 4 thousandths quicker than Mick Claridge. Kevin Verbruggen moves himself up then to the top with a 34.3 as he breaks the barrier and looks to try and prove what he's all about. And now you start thinking about who stays where and who does what. No Valentarius here today to go and make things happen, so a drop will be used. Zamayoa goes to the top then and gets the number 1 car where it needs to. What about Leo Sequeiro here today? Can he find himself up the order? 34.573, good enough for the third row of the grid, but all the times now finding themselves in a wonderful position right now. And over we go with car number 18 out there at the moment. That is Guillermo Martin Gonzalez now making his charge over towards the line, trying to improve from 21st position, and that'll put him up on the 8th row with Jem Matzan. So good time from Guillermo there to get what he wants. But Jorge Nieva has stolen pole.
Wow, that was I was just watching his lap in game, and that was a fantastic lap from Jorge. It looked nice. He looked aggressive, but it looked smooth at the same time. And yeah, a great end to the lap and up into pole position as it stands.
There's only a handful of drivers who can improve. Mats Linden's pulled over to one side. I think Ben Summers is the last car only out on track who can improve. That was just 1 lap, by the way, by Nieva. So Ben Summers, the only driver who could make any form of inroad here, hasn't set really the greatest laps of light, 136.9. That is good enough for the 15th row of the grid in the number 24 car. So it's a large grid today. 40 drivers here looking to put their times together on the board. But there is your pole sitter, Ryan. And when you only need 1 lap to go to the top, that shows you the level of pace that you've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about this before we came on air, that Jorge Nieva, when I was commentating on the series regularly ages ago, he was always running in the midfield, maybe just inside the top 10. But over the past few seasons, he's absolutely improved massively. And as you were calling him, Jake, he's one of those bridesmaids drivers.
Yeah, one of those who's always been very close to the title and has never truly clicked over and said he's got it. He's in a very tough era, I would say, of classics racing in the Lotus 49 when you got Valentarius as a driver and the likes of Mick Claridge. It's very tough to go up to the highest level. Let's take a look at your starting grid then here from Fuji Speedway, and it is car number 2 who is on the pole position, Jorge Nieva, with a 134.114. Alongside him on the front row is Oye Zamayoa, so the Spaniards lock the front row with Mick Claridge starting in 3rd and Kevin Verbruggen going from 4th position. It's then Nicola Cocchi who starts 5th with Leo Sequeiro 6th. Bill Tyler has Arturas Kundelis 7th and 8th, with Seb Tixier starting from 9th, along with Mitch Heller, car 27, great qualifying from him in 10th.
Yep, and then you've got the two Olsons just behind him with Laust Olsen in 11th, and then John Olsen in 12th, with Kyle Ridley in 13th, with Aku Lusky in 14th, Matthew Keane in 15th, 16th is Jem Matson, and then you've got Martin Gonzalez Diaz in 17th, with Benjamin Zoko 18th, Robert Plumley 19th, and the Canadian Cam Porter in 20th.
Cam, of course, a fan favourite here over the page. Juan Alberto Escobar in 21st, with Jan Stepan in 22nd, with Roberto Pangrazzi, your F2 Championship leader, going from 23rd, and Tobias Harnvey in 24th. It's then Michael Grissinger and Ray Oliver on row 13, with row 14 housing Sandeep Banerjee and Will Lamb. Ben Summers, we saw his lap time last 29th. He's got Johannes Brouwer back there in 30th.
And you've got Mikael Zabala in 31st, with Andreas Bruno 32nd, Eric Ersari in 33rd, Robert Obrofa in 34th, and then Alexander McBean 35th, and the last driver to set a time. And then the last of the drivers, Jason Clapper, Kirk Clapper, Thomas Tuber, Thomas Willehausen, and Max London rounded out the grid.
Yeah, those final 5 drivers are separated by their iRacing, which is the tiebreaker here in iRacing. Those 2 minutes to grid up, they've got about 30 seconds to go as they nestle themselves between the rolling hills and the big mountain, which is currently obscured by the stand there over on the right-hand side. And there is the museum back there in the distance for them to work with. This long front stretch is a long diving run to turn 1. Green flag in the air, 21 laps, gets itself underway. And it's a good start from Mick Claridge then. Off of the second row, he'll immediately challenge Zamayoa for position as they run onto the brakes at TGR corner for the first time. Sweeping across the nose goes Nieva as he drives on through, and everyone looks to try and tiptoe through this wide 3, sometimes 4 wide section as they go off the start. Nice and clean, but turn 3 can be a difference maker as they all try and funnel single file. A little search from Sequeira on Kundelis, but outside of that, clean off the front.
Yep, and this is pretty much this long right-hander is on lap 1 with cold tyres. It can be a bit sketchy, and so drivers are going to have to be very careful as Nieva goes defensive in the middle of the track, just keeping hold of his position with Zamola in 2nd and Claridge in 3rd. And then we're coming up to this Dunlop corner, Jake, where all the cars are close together, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's maybe some slight contact, but so far so clean.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. Lap 1 has always been the important factor, and you can see there the AstroTurf kicking up as they run off of turn 10 and now up the hill through 11, through 12, and now into 13 here of GR Supra corner. A much wider line being taken by Zamayoa, looking to try and open up each and every single corner out there. Claridge in 3rd, Verbruggen 4th. It's Cocchi who finds himself in 5th. Kundelis up 2 off the start. He's in 6th, and the question will become, where does the break in the chain start? At the moment, it's Bill Tyler where that break comes in, and look at the serpentine all the way to the pit wall.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say as well. It wouldn't surprise me if you see some drivers go towards the pit wall trying to break that slipstream, and turn 1 is such an easy corner to overrun because you're going so quick, and then all of a sudden you're having to slow right down. As it looks like Nieva might have made a mistake in the middle of TGR corners. Zamola's got a run on him.
Yeah, he's got a run, but so too is Mick Claridge here to Coca-Cola corner at turn 3, but they're not going to make anything of it there at the very closed apex entry. Sequeira now starting to drop off the back here. He's under immense pressure from Seb Tixier for place, and that's bringing Bill Tyler and Laust Olsen and Kyle Ridley and John Olsen into play. Good start by Kyle Ridley. He's gained 2 off of this launch. Tixier searching for the inside. He is the last of the late breakers here in this series, so he's always got to be careful about Seb when he tries to lunge down down the inside.
Yeah, he's not afraid to make a move. He's one of those drivers, if he senses an opportunity, he will go for it. And I think he might try and make a move into, I thought he was going to make a move into Dunlop corner, but decisively decides to back out of it, which is a good racecraft by him. Again, Seb tries to make a move up the inside, but he's just not close enough. And just trying to unsettle Sequeiro as well. And this is the thing you can do around Fuji as well. If you're behind the car, you can't get by. As it was always like with other spin.
Oh, and that's a horrible incident. Now they're going to jump together. Johannes Brouwer unsighted in that one, and a number of cars have been caught up then with a massive incident. Matthew King contact with Cam Porter as he went through, and then 2 or 3 afterwards then just completely got caught out. Sandeep Banerjee had to abandon ship, and then we had another car going up into the air as well, which I think was Guillermo Martin Gonzalez Diaz, who found himself caught up in that one. A big issue, but at the front, as Verbruggen sets the fastest lap, Jorge Nieva just about staves off at TGR corner Zamayoa, but he's got overlap here heading to turn 3, lunges down the inside at Coca-Cola corner, but look around the outside, Nieva's got the hold, and where do you go? Almost front to rear contact as they go through. Watch out, Verbruggen will take advantage of a little bit of a lackadaisical look from Mick Claridge there, who wasn't quite expecting it. He lunges back going for 3rd.
And that's the thing with if you're side by side into Coca-Cola corner, it's so easy to kind of check each other up, because you're side by side and you're compromising the entry for each other into the corner. And as we saw there was a slight bit of contact between Nieva and Zamoa, but thankfully everyone survived.
Too deep. There's a little bit too deep for Kevin Verbruggen. Mick Claridge will take that back every day and twice on Saturday, which just so happens to be today, as he runs himself out with a little bit of trouble. Candelis and Cocky can only look in the mirrors as Sequeiro and Tixier have now joined the back of this group, but they can't afford to fight too much like this. If they lose a second and a half, they will lose that slipstream range, and the cars in front of Zamayoa and Nieva, the 2 Spaniards, will look to run away and race amongst themselves.
Yep, and that's it. That's the thing as well, that Nieva and Zamoa could work together and kind of slipstream each other and try and pull away, but it's kind of difficult with these cars as well, because there's not really that much of a slipstream effect, as it looks like side by side between the 2 leaders into TDR corner, and it looks like Zamoa might have the run on the outside, which will be the inside for Coca-Cola corner.
He's got the line again, but remember, Nieva was able to go around the outside a lap ago, and he'll do it again off of the exit. So twice he tries it. Now they'll go 2 wide through the entirety of the 100R, and that will lead them to the Advan corner here, where it's a really good chance for moves to be made. Zamayoa down the inside. Claridge is now searching on the back, but still they go. The decades of experience back from Grand Prix legends from Jorge Nieva playing dividends at the moment. Zamayoa can't quite find his pass, and now Claridge is there, and Verbruggen, as here comes Claridge to the inside, searching for P2 and getting the run off the exit, almost 3 wide as they go up to 11.
And it looks like Claridge might have the position as he was up the inside there, and Zamoa ran wide, and it looks like Claridge there's something happened to Mick Claridge. I think he's disappeared on my screen anyway, but
he's good. He's good at the moment, P2, and he's got the pass, and he's done a very good job in the number 3 machine to make that pass, and now he's got to hold with his next charge. He goes through 9/10 of a second now for Nieva, so Zamayoa has been shuffled back into 3rd, and the train that goes back to Seb Tixier. We go on board with Arturas Kundelis here, the Lithuanian, as he looks at Koki at a top 5 position, and this is where it gets important. Over 310 kilometers an hour, massive elongated braking zones into turn 1, down to just 68 kilometers an hour as they now look to pick the power back off the exit again, and Kundelis still couldn't quite get it done on the Italian.
Yeah, Cocky was very good on the brakes into TGR corner there into turn 1, and managed to hold the position on the outside, getting that great run, and as they head in again, just fighting away with each other. But further back in the field, they're looking at Jan Metzan from Florida at the moment, down in 15th, and no matter where you look in the series, Jake, there's always a battle to watch.
One somewhere, one everywhere. This is right behind Mitch Heller, who, oh, there's the contact. Round goes Jem Matzan, up and over the profile of the wheel of Kyle Ridley, who moved across the circuit to take his line. I think Matzan just turned in there, Ryan, and ultimately it was a case where Ridley just wouldn't let him turn in.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that. If we get a replay to see what happened, and we're looking at Johannes Brouwer at the moment, and it looks like this is the lap one incident where it all kicked off, and yeah, unfortunately several cars caught up in this incident, and some drivers out of the race or with big damage.
And that's why we have a halo in modern Formula One there. That would have been a head right on the asphalt there, and that would have hurt like anything else out there on track. Verbruchen chasing down in fourth. Nieva, fastest lap of the race, beaten by Verbruchen, who now gets himself the purple check mark next to his name. No points for it, but pride is there. Claridge shadowed through TGR corner there by Oye Zamayoa, who is hoping to try and find his way through. The Basque driver hoping that his pass is going to find itself and make itself known out there at this stage. But this is where lap 6 of 21, you want to kind of cool down after the early exchanges out there in this race. You're trying to exchange cards out there and keep yourself out of trouble. Here's Jem Matzan again, and Ridley moves over across, holds his line. Matzan's got to wait for Ridley to turn in.
Yeah, and just look at the replay, I think Ridley, you can't really do that when someone's alongside. You've kind of just got to stick to your line. I can understand that you want to move across and try and get set up the entry into the corner, but I think if I was in charge of race control, I would pound that on Ridley.
Yeah, well, that's going to keep him... Oh, look at this in 30th. Andres Bruno here is right in the middle of all of this, and it is getting fancy behind Eric Asari in the number 40 car. Lowest iRacing in this field, Thomas Tuber, Ben Summers, Jason Clapper, Andres Bruno, Kurt Clapper, Thomas Willershausen, and Jan Stepan all want this place. Stepan's going to go straight on.
Yep, I was just about to say he's running straight on there, and thankfully there's no gravel, or the wall wasn't closer than it was. Otherwise that would have been a race ender, I believe. But as Mick Claridge puts in another foot, actually I take that back, Arturis Kundelis puts in the fastest lap of the race so far. So up at the front, they're all trading fastest laps at the moment. And going back to your point, Jake, I think at this stage of the race, I think I would just calm down and just kind of just settle into it. Just let the race pan out, let the race come to you, and see what happens. Just if drivers want to get feisty, let them go. Just settle in.
Eric Asari then looking then in at 28th behind, and a very, very fast driver alongside him. That is going to be Thomas Tuber, who's trying to get the move done. Behind that, Jason Clapper, who loves the last to first challenge out there in these races, can only manage to get himself through on Ben Summers, and now pick the drive up to get to Tuber, to get to Asari, and then the next group, these drivers 3 seconds down the road to Guillermo Martin Gonzalez Diaz, who of course was caught up in the lap one troubles out there and had himself airborne out on track. But running through the long 100 right, this is where you need to have commitment that you're going to get to the inside. Not much of a run out of the corner into the next one, but this is the profile of this circuit, these open parabolic style corners that leave a lot of interpretation to how you can get the move secured.
Absolutely, as always, like I thought Clapper was going to make a move there, but yeah, decides to back out of it. As we look at a replay heading into turn one, looking at Clapper, and Clapper had a little spin. Someone else has had a synchronised spin as well. But thankfully managed to keep it going as Clapper gets going again. No contact, no issues.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, play ball, and they will continue. As wide then, off of the exit, I believe that would be Asari. They're making that mistake in the number 40 car. Covers back the inside at Panasonic, but this is what happens at Panasonic when you take the inside line. Up and under, and watch the speed on the front stretch.
Yep, and what's the slipstream come into effect as well? It doesn't come into effect really quickly, but as you get towards the end of the streak, it can come in. As I say that, Jason Clapper gets a massive run heading down to GTR corner.
Yep, at TGR, straight down the inside. How late on the brakes do you dare? Asari on the outside as well, hoping to try and stay out of trouble a little further down the field in 31st. And is just about managing to do that. Keep it out of trouble and not get involved in too much out there. Well done. Stays in 31st. Leading 4 now it is right now, because Nicola Cocchi is starting to lose touch to Kevin Verbruggen. And we know that Condelis can be quick in the slipstream. Sequeiro and Tixier are desperately trying to hold on. Tixier, a former champion in this series. And so you're looking at this group going, well, what do you need to do in order to stay in play? Well, if everyone's starting to use the slipstream on this straight, you don't really gain much out there. And this is where Verbruggen looks at Zamayoa, who can't make a move, at Claridge, who doesn't make a move on Nieva. Nobody wants to lead here heading on to the final lap. It is that style of race, as here comes the fan out to the outside from Mick Claridge, looking for the race lead.
And I think as I say that, Mick Claridge runs wide into TJR corner, slightly misses his turning point slightly. But I think if you're Kevin Verbruggen and Nicola Cocchi, I think those two drivers are in the perfect position if they just relax, not get involved in any scraps at the moment. Just as I say that, Mick Claridge runs wide and Kevin tries to pounce on the opportunity.
Wow, and that was round the outside of the Coca-Cola corner from Oye Zamayoa, and that enough for him to get into second. Wonderfully constructed overtake, and one which you could hang up in an art museum every single time. I'm sure it could go in the Guggenheim if he so wanted to in Bilbao, but at least for the moment, Verbruggen happy to watch, because you don't have to get to the front on lap 9 of 21. You start thinking about it. I'd say about lap 15 is where the drivers start thinking about, right, gloves off, I need to be where I need to be in the final stage, as we watch Verbruggen there, just clattering those anti-cut curbs on the exit of 11, entry of 12.
Yep, and thankfully with these cars you can take those anti-cut curbs and get away with it. But if I was something like a prototype or a modern GT car, you would probably get front spotter damage. But as they come down the home straight again, and still it's Nieva leading, and Zamayoa is back up to second place, and it looks like he's about to try and make a move heading down to turn 1.
He's tried it twice already in this race to gain the race lead, and around the outside of turn 1, he will try again. Nieva happy on that inside line, and he gets so much pace through the rotation of TGR corner. He's got so much confidence to stamp the throttle down, where everyone else is maybe a bit more passive. For the third time in this race, Nieva will throw it around the outside here of Coca-Cola corner, and now through 100 right again. They will go side by side, but this time Zamayoa might have drive, and Claridge has drive, but has to lift out of it there. Car completely loaded at that section. Now they'll trip up over each other, still side by side. They'll go down to Dunlop.
Yeah, and Nieva with a great run on the outside there on the exit. He managed to keep that momentum on the outside. You probably don't think you can get a run on the outside just because of the nature of the corner, but you can use that slight bit of camber to get a run, and Nieva using it to his advantage.
Oh, you can see how Zamayoa is just feigning aggression at this moment. He wants a way through right now, with Claridge sitting behind, who will also want to be aggressive going through. The passive Kevin Verbruggen, Nicola Cocchi, who's not really shown too much, and Arturas Condelis, who's waiting for the big moment to happen out there in this race. These are tough moments out there where everyone is fighting and everything else is a little 2-car, 3-car battle out there on track. For example, Ridley and Plumley together. You've got Liskey and Heller out there together. Olsen a little on his own, with Olsen and Tyler clear down the road. It is that sort of race. 3 wide for the race lead. Claridge to the outside. Zamayoa in the middle. Zamayoa overcooks it. He'll drop down the train. Here comes Claridge off the exit.
Yeah, here comes the maestro, Mick Claridge, and yeah, he's got a great run, he's on the outside, but I think Nieva will be managed to hold it on the inside since he's got the corner for Coca-Cola corner, and manages to hold on to that lead, but still getting a bit feisty, Jake.
It is, and at the halfway stage, they started to think about, can I make a power move up to gain a couple places? Here comes Condelis down the inside, trying to steal one on Nicola Cocchi for P5, and he's been staring down the back of the white Lotus 49 there with the Ford DFV Cosworth engine in the back. He's been counting the exhaust and the pistons out there lap after lap after lap, and he just cannot find an avenue.
And that's the difficult thing about being stuck in a pack, especially such as this pack, for example. You're all stuck in a slipstream pack, and it makes it difficult to make a move. And all you've got to do really is play the patience game, and hopefully the driver or drivers in front of you hope that they make a mistake, and you can try and pounce and gain some positions. But at the moment, it's just, even though it's a slipstream pack, it's still great racing to watch. And again, we're coming down the home straight, and it looks like Mick Claridge might get a run down the home straight, but he's under attack from the Benelux driver, Kevin Verbrogen.
Verbrugen now starting to angle it up, but he gets caught out in the wind, essentially, as they hit the brakes. They all look around, 3 wide as they descend once again. It'll be covered by Nieva. Verbrugen trying to go through, almost taking the back of Zamayoa out, was Nicola Cocchi through the corner. Zamayoa's looking aggressive, no surprises there. He has been the most rough and tumble out there as they go through. Now through the Coca-Cola corner, there's no room for Zamayoa to fly through. Verbrugen still trying around the outside to get this pass done, and he needs to get it done quickly, otherwise Nieva's going to run down the road. They've lost 0.7 of a second because of it. Claridge gets his clearance. Now here comes Zamayoa to try and pick up third once again, round the outside of the corner, looking for drive off the exit. Verbrugen's first to the power, but he's on the wrong side of the road here, and advantage Zamayoa puts him back up on the podium.
Absolutely, as they head down to the Dunlop right-hander, and again, that gap was up at the front was about 0.7 of a second. It's just about down to half a second now. Just the nature of this slipstream pack. You can't, around this track, especially with the long straight, you can't really get away from anyone because of just because the slipstream is so strong in a pack, especially. But again, everyone's so close together, and I think it's getting to that stage of the race, Jake, where it's pretty much gloves off, literally.
Well, we're going to take a little look further back. This is car number 33. Oh, this is going to be a scary one. Trying to fight left, right, and then straight up and over. That was Sandy Banerjee who had the contact. I wonder if it was Matt Linden who he came together with as he had that a lap or so ago. So a very big, dramatic moment going out of the Dunlop corner. It just goes to prove how tough it is around this circuit. There's a lot of room you can work with, but you're trying to fight at the biggest level. Here comes Condellis for the first time, making a proper lunge then down at Coca-Cola corner. He gets it done, but he overcooks it through. That will cost his run here with Nicola Cocchi. Sequeira's going to be there. They can't afford to let the gaps extend out again.
Yeah, and especially they can't afford to let the gap to this pack in front increase anymore, otherwise they'll fall out of that draft range. But still, I think it's pretty much the front pack anyways, they managed to break away from the rest behind. And as further back as well, looking at Will Lamb, currently down in 23rd, and currently chasing some of these cars in front of him. I think also as well, you've got to remember, Jake, some of these drivers that are maybe not up at the front regularly, even if you're further back, you've still got that F2 championship to contend for.
Yep, and that's for those drivers who have, I believe it's less than 3,000 iRating out there that they can go and tackle for it. There is Roberto Pangrazzi, who is there, the Italian who leads that championship. P20, he's only gained 3 out there in this one, but he's got Juan Alberto Escobar that he wants to try and get by in the Gold Leaf car in front, and hoping that every single place is going to be there. Have to go back to the front, though, because Mick Claridge is eyeing it up on the straight. Verbrugen goes faster again, and we'll see it go faster and faster as the fuel depletes from the tanks, and now they go into each other, straight into the back goes Oye Zamayoa then as he goes through, and he has to be careful about that, does Oye, because every single time he's out there with the red and green and white, the Basque colours that he's got on the front of his car, he knows that Jorge Nieva will have to try and hold up and let Claridge go through. As back for 14th, here comes Robert Plumley down the inside and gets his move. Does he? Not quite, because here comes Ridley straight back.
Absolutely, and yeah, looking at Nicola Cocchi as well, and Cocchi still stuck behind Kundelis as well. So yeah, trying to make moves around here is proven difficult. And I think on the other hand, Kundelis could be playing a bit of a waiting game now, maybe just letting.
Oh, look at that! Big lunge at turn 11. Oye Zamayoa is now attacking every corner as if he's got nothing more to prove, that every lap is his last lap out there on circuit, and Nieva just has to give him the room all the way up here for Panasonic. It's a late turn-in, but he'll get the drive on the exit compared to Samayoa, and he would love to have the slipstream here from Mick Claridge along this straight, but Claridge moves over to the right, gives Samayoa the toe, and that's where it gets really clever out there from these drivers. He's trying to give equal toe to both of them behind, so they stay too wide into the first corner. This is very clever stuff by Claridge.
Yeah, and Claridge has got a lot of experience with this Lotus 49, so he knows how to race these cars. He knows what it's like when it comes to racecraft, and some of the tricks that he's learned over the years, he's using them to good effect. And like you saw there, he was trying to give slipstream to both Zamio and Nieva as well. And I think on the other hand, it probably helped Zamio a lot more, because he managed to benefit from it and move up into second place. But yeah, as we're on halfway around lap 15, and we're getting to the closing stage of the race, and where it's pretty much go time.
Well, let me put it to you like this, Ryan. Who would you rather have behind you, Jorge Nieva or Oye Zamioa?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, Zamio and Nieva are both great drivers, but if it came down to trust, I think I would put my trust just in the Jorge Nieva.
You know, I'd have actually picked the same way, because the aggressiveness that Samayoa has been dealing with, you've got more known quantity in terms of personality of drive from Jorge Nieva. He's more, I would say, by the book. You look at the way that Samayoa is driving, he's a little bit more of a maverick in the way that he constructs it. He's always searching. He's very much like a pit bull terrier out there, trying to nip at your heels and always find a pass out there. Verbruchen fourth, Candelis fifth, Cocky in sixth, and Leo Sequeira on the back in seventh, over the white line to defend. Here comes Samayoa, then over to the outside, trying to get it done. Claridge out, breaks him through the initial part. Verbruchen now starts to look on Nieva for position. Claridge will have to get the drive down off of the exit, and fighting to Coca-Cola. There's still the tiniest bit of overlap there, and still there's the scrap from Samayoa, who throws it down the inside, and still Mick Claridge holds that line. This is sensational stuff with 6 laps to go. Round the outside, surely now it's going to have to be at Advan where the next move comes in. Samayoa has to yield, and again, there looks Jorge Nieva trying to get back to second.
Yep, and if anyone's wondering, if anyone's watching this and thinking, how do I get involved in this, just head over to the Lotus 49 Discord, because there's always people willing to help out. And from my experience of calling these races and the racing in the series, well, the racing is absolutely majestic and fantastic.
Oh, Mick's actually having to defend up through turn 11. There's almost contact, and that sends a chain reaction through the front three as they all have to slightly hit the brakes. And now Verbruchen's trying to look around the outside. Candelis trying to stick his nose down the inside, might open up. Samayoa's going to go for it at the final corner here, and so too Nicola Cocky for position. Samayoa gets it done at Panasonic. You don't hear that too often.
Yeah, wow, that was a bit of an unexpected but great move by Zamio. He kind of caught Mick sleeping there when he saw the gap and went for it. And yeah, I think Mick Claridge is...
Nieva!
Oh, Nieva as well. Oh my God.
3 wide into turn 1. Nieva sends it down the inside. Samayoa's got to go the long road around, and at TGR corner, he's going to lose out. So move done. It's back to Nieva at the front. Here comes Candelis, now looking for 4th place. Kevin Verbruchen leaves him room on the outside line, understeers through the middle of the corner. Candelis now needs a big sweeping line, gets the move to go to 4th.
Yeah, that was a fantastic move by Candelis as well. He got a great run, and he got the exit. He was on the outside of turn 1, which was inside for Coca-Cola corner, and managed to get the move done. He left just enough room for Kevin as well, so great racing between both those drivers. But back up at the front, it's still Nieva, Zamo and Claridge all close together, and with pretty much 5.5 laps to go, Jake, I think, I don't know about you, but I've just got a feeling that maybe an accident's about to happen towards the end.
Well, they are trending towards it. They are playing with fire. And who is going to get burnt here around Fuji Speedway, round 4 of the championship? And if you think this is high speed, high octanes, we watched Kurt Clapper, what happened to him, a spin as he went through at turn 3. Oh, and a horrible piece of contact on the exit as well.
and as they head down the home straight as well now, yet again, as they come across the line, it'll be 4 laps to go next time around. And again, they ever leading, but again, Zamel's got a great run heading down to turn 1. And are they going to go and try and go 3 wide? I don't think so, as Clarence thinks about it. But I think Zamel is on the outside. Can he hold the outside? If he can keep the hold on the outside and on the inside for Coca-Cola, he could get the move done.
He could do, but remember, 4 times it's worked for Nieva. I think this time it's not going to be as easy here. Ken gets the drive, but he's not got the overlap this time, and he has to fall back into rank and file. Claridge sitting in 3rd positions, waiting for the right time to strike, and the more that they scrap these front 3, they'll allow Kundelis and Verbruchen, and a big lunge down the inside. Verbruchen abandons right for Nicola Cocchi, out-braking himself. Sequeiro picks up 2 freebies.
Yep, and I think that's what I was talking about earlier on, Jake. It's always worth holding back and just waiting to see what happens. And I think Sequeiro was doing that, and as you see, it's paid off.
Yeah, apology over the radio from Nicola Cocchi. He realised that he messed up his braking point. It only takes 1 in this car to get it wrong, and you've got to be a little bit careful about where you brake out there, because a brake fade. Here comes Claridge up the inside of GR Supra looking.
Yeah, Mick Claridge. Yeah, I had a few. Just watching the body language, I had a feeling that Mick was going to try something we wouldn't normally see a move trying to be attempted. But I think he thought better of it as again coming across the start-finish line, and as we've got a back marker moving out the way, it looks like it's possibly Robert Abrofa.
I think it's Andres Bruno who's there trying to keep himself out of trouble, but now it gets busy. 3 laps to go, 3 wide again into turn 1. They've been doing this all day long. Samayer on the outside, Claridge goes tyre to tyre. Nieva back to the point.
Yep, Nieva back to the point, and it looks like Zamel is trying to make a move into Coca-Cola corner. Is he going to try and get it done? I don't think he will, because Nieva will have that traditional outside line, what's his inside line, and they manages to hold it.
Yeah, and now look at the gap that's formed here. Front 4 clear. Sequeiro not having the best of opening sectors out there, having to scrap hard with Kevin Verbruchen, who locked it up through the opening corner, and now they are 1.1 seconds back. A group of 7 is 4 over the top. Claridge is upside down with Kundelis, and that puts Mick Claridge out of this race. A hefty moment. They fought down the hill for the same piece of real estate. One little bit of contact, and Kundelis and Claridge take themselves out of contention.
It's like, it was what I was talking about, Jake. I had a feeling that something was going to happen, and as you saw right there, it did. And it's so unfortunate for Claridge and Kundelis, because they were having great races. But when you're starting to get feisty towards the end of a race like this, something's about to, or something can happen, and unfortunately it did.
It did, and it was so innocuous. They were fighting side by side, the tiniest bit of contact between them, and then it was dramatic. We got moves with 2 laps to go, but Mick Claridge, they're fighting for the same piece of real estate. And Claridge holds his line naturally. Kundelis always wants to try and pinch right. That's just 2 drivers who don't want to give it up.
Absolutely. I think it was just one of those things. Claridge did hold his line. I think Kundelis was, he just... Oh, there was a round!
Unbelievable! How has that gone wrong for Jorge Nieva from the race lead? He got the pass sorted, front's completely smashed in, on the curb, power as he went by. A perfect 20 laps or 19 laps of this race. Lap 20, it all goes wrong.
It's so unfortunate. Nieva was ever a chance of the win, and it looks like he just lost it. It looks like he was trying to get back in the power, and the rear wheels just lost traction.
It's incredible out there. It now means that Leo Sequeiro's up to second. Kevin Verbruchen is now on the podium. You watch this. Oh, he just catches the wrong side of the curb, and it's so easy to do that. And what makes it worse is he's not caught the guardrail side on. He's actually hit the end of the guardrail as he's gone through, and that's going to be heavy damage for Nieva, who's out there right now. The only good news he'll have is he can limp it home from here, but the podium not out of the realms of possibility right now, with Cocchi, with Verbruchen, and with Sequeiro. Oh, and trouble with Clapper.
Yeah, it looks like might have been a slight bit of contact there, or not sure what happened to Pangrazi there, but yeah, just both. I think it might have just been a slight bit of contact, but I would need to see a different angle for that to be sure. But yeah, again, Kevin Verbrogen with the fastest lap of the race, and Kevin Verbrogen as well, another driver that's been improving massively over the past few seasons, and currently running third, and still technically have a chance of challenging for the win, but as I say that as well, the gap actually to Zamora is, I think it's too big to catch.
It definitely looks it as Benjamin Shoko moves over to one side on the final lap of this race. This is for second for Verbrugen now versus Sequeiro, looking for this chance down to the inside, hoping the move is there, and it just isn't. Then at Advan corner, they will head themselves over as Pangrazzi will take another look on the outside, try to turn in a little bit of side by side. There's a lot of room you got to have, but Pangrazzi wrong side of it. Zamayoa now finds himself just one final sector away from victory with 1 second worth of margin to work with. One mistake from the Basque driver, and these drivers can all be in. Sequeiro waiting for Verbrugen, desperate to try and take second away. Nicola Cocchi might still find a podium if he just pulls it together with 1 corner to go. Out of Panasonic at this Toyota-owned circuit here in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends. It's about who stays out of trouble, and it was simply sensational for Oye Samayoa. He will come to the line, and he will win here at Fuji. For second, it's Sequeiro. Verbrugen will come to the line and only manage third. Nicola Cocchi fourth in a race that is what could have been for many, and a fantastic survival instinct from Oye Samayoa.
Wow, what a race. I mean, that was a fantastic race up at the front for most of it, and plenty of battles going on as well further back. And as I look at Robert Plumley coming across the line to finish in 13th place, and yeah, late race drama, Jake, and wow, that was fantastic.
It certainly was, and it keeps you on your toes this series. It always has done. It always will. Jason Clapper trying to take one late, but he'll run out of time against Guillermo Martin Gonzalez-Diaz as he heads over towards the line. The last of the drivers coming through, Will Lamb, I think, is going to hold on, the Carolina driver, then for his positions, and the final lot of drivers go through. We've got to wait all the way for Mats Linden, who is going to be about 90 seconds off the pace by the time that the checker flag is out and shown for him. But some wonderful racing out there overall from every driver there. It was fraught, it was full of danger, but ultimately it's about keeping yourself in with a shot of victory. That is what we saw today at the front. So we will take a look as Mats Linden comes across the line at your official classified results then. Here from the Fuji Speedway, Oye Samayoa calling it the race of his life as he comes over the line and wins in 33 minutes and 12 seconds. His margin is 7/10 over Leo Sequeiro, and Kevin Verbrugen, the final spot on the podium. Nicola Cocchi will end up in 4th position, and on a day with no Aldrius Valenterius, this was one where Jorge Nieva needed to find points. P5, but it could have very easily have been a race win today for him. He staves off Seb Tixier, who finishes in 6th, ahead of Bill Tyler and Laust Olsen 7th and 8th, with John Olsen finishing 9th and Mitch Heller rounding out the top 10.
Finishing in 11th was Akuliski, and 12th was Kyle Ridley with Robert Plumley 13th, and then you got Cam Potter in 14th after starting 20th, so a great race by him. And then finishing in 15th was Jem Matson, and then 16th was Juan Alberto Escobar, 17th was Martin Gonzalez Diaz, and then 18th Jason Clapper, 19th was Robert Pangrazzi, and then 20th was Mikhail Zabala.
Yeah, great drive by Zabala. He gained 11. Jason Clapper up 18 spaces here today. Will Lamb will find himself 21st with Michael Grissinger 22nd. It's then Thomas Tuber and Eric Asari, the lowest I-rating in the field, but picking up a 24th place finish, a gain of 9 for him today. Thomas Willershausen will be 25th with Ben Summers in 26th. It's then Robert Abrotha in 27th and Jan Stefan in 28th. The top 30 rounded out, and also your last finishers in this field. Tobias Hanvey and Mats Linden making up the field. The graveyard of those who have failed to find the finish is with you, Ryan.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a 31st was Anturas Candelas, and then Mick Claridge, Andreas Bruno, Benjamin Zocco, and then Alexander McBain, and then Ray Over, Kurt Clapper, and Sandeep Banerjee, and then Matthew Keane, and then Johannes Brouwer. Those were the last of the runners, or the ones that unfortunately had to retire.
Yeah, and so a real shame for all of those drivers who look to make their best effort known. We're going to take this time to talk to some of our drivers who are here with us. Kevin Verbruggen joins me now, who had a wonderful race out there, 3rd position overall. Kevin, that was pretty much as tough as a race gets when it comes to the Lotus 49s. You have to be on the pace, at fastest lap pace, every lap, just to stay in range.
Yeah, you said it. That was maybe the hardest race, hardest broadcast race I've done, ever. These guys at the front, they are relentless. So, yeah, the braking every lap has to be perfect, not to drive into the rear of someone or get hit from behind. But yeah, lots of fun.
It looked like with about 6 laps to go or so, the big move by Nicola made sure that you had to open out the steering, took you maybe out of contention for the podium. But it's funny how it comes back to you with Mick and Arturus coming together, and then the spin of Jorge Nieva giving you a chance to fight for the podium.
Yeah, and then that shows just how hard everyone was racing. Like, even the guys at the top, they won't even give each other an inch. And then sometimes things happen. And I do feel sorry for them. But in the end, if it results in a podium, yeah, I won't sit on it for too long.
No, you'll be very happy, of course. And it's, again, another high-speed style of racing circuit to head to next week. How are you feeling about Thruxton?
Honestly, I don't really know yet. I've never driven on Thruxton. It's, maybe a bit, I don't know, a bit of a different style than some other tracks with the very long turns. I feel like in this car, Thruxton may be a bit of a special beast compared to how in a lot of other cars it's like almost all full speed, and I don't know how that will turn out in this car, since a lot of straights in other cars turn into corners. But I do like the high-speed track, so it will be lots of fun.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then, Kevin, as you go through a P3 finish for you today here at Fuji.
Thank you.
Kevin Verbruggen there joining us. A little walk down the virtual paddock here for Ryan Walker. He's caught up with your 4th place finisher overall here today in Nicola Cocky.
I have indeed, and Nicola joins me now, and that looked intense but great fun there, Nicola.
Oh yeah, can you guys hear me well?
Yep.
Okay, no, because I fixed my microphone, not using that anymore. I just use the phone. I think is more reliable way to speak with you guys. Yeah, it wasn't my best finishes ever, but when you are in the middle of a battle like that for the whole race, you don't care too much, or at least I don't care too much. It's too fun to do this, and I will sign every day of the week to get the same position but the same fine as today.
Yeah, when you were involved in that battle, did you have any plans, or did you have a strategy in mind? Did you want to get involved in any battling straight away, or did you just want to sit and wait?
No, actually, I was focusing only to not let the guys in front go, because once you are not in the draft, you are done. Basically, the draft years is so powerful. And I didn't want to battle too much on the first part of the race, because, having a little bit of a gap behind you is always useful. You don't have to be worried too much about potential dive bombing or stuff like that. So I just keep quiet to follow Kevin, and I had him in front of me for at least the first half of the race. And once you have a little bit more spread cars, there for me is the right moment to try to get some place back. But I could not break the draft with Leo and with Arturas, so we were just like a very big pack, and Arturas is very not try to not lose too much points, and I was okay with that.
And heading into Thruxton next week, have you got much experience of that track with the 49, or is it a completely new learning experience?
It's a completely new track for me, and next week it will be more or less the same what I have this week. So I will have reduced practice time, and I will have to optimize everything I have, because I'm far away from home for work at least 2 days. So I will not be able to do my usual practice, and I will just try to optimize whatever I have. I don't even know if it's a slow track or a fast track, so I really have no clue.
Well, again, congratulations on the P4, Nicola, and we'll look forward to seeing you on track at Thruxton next week.
Thank you guys, and I would just give a shout out to Audrius, which is our super fast alien here, and he was not on this race, and he didn't say anything, so I hope everything is okay with him. Bye bye.
As that was P4 finisher Nicola Cocky joining us, and I believe up next, Jake, that we've got the McLarens.
I do. Mick's no stranger to this commentary box. He knows all too well about how to be up here, but ultimately today it was a shot at a podium for you, Mick, a shot of a victory for you, but you and Arturus coming together, I think you put it down in sim and saying it was a real shame in terms of the battle between you two and how that came about. Just talk us through what happened at your perspective, because it looked like it was an instant completely out of nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was great. I mean, leading up to that was just bonkers anyway. I mean, I'm sure you'll ask me about that in a minute, but yeah, it was like I didn't really sort of pay much attention to the mirror, because I was just focusing on cars next to me pretty much, most of the laps and all the rest of it. Then I saw a great big green Lotus 49 coming up in the mirror, and I thought, I thought it's Arturus. Okay, yeah, that's how he's catching us up. then I mean, I was like really late into the left-hander, whatever that left-hander's called. And yeah, he lost the back end, and I was cutting across to the left to get a good line for the next apex. I mean, although it's flat out, it is flat out in the Lotus 49, that next sweeping right-hander, you don't really want to hit that curb on the right-hand side, so I did want to come over to the left. So yeah, he was going right, I was going left, and we touched, and that was it. And now I think our wheels touched, and I flipped over. But it was real shock when it happened. I weren't expecting to flip over like that.
Well, we hope the head's okay, Mick, after an incident like that. But talk us through all of the battling that you had to deal with coming up to that moment, because it was 2 wide and 3 wide pretty much everywhere out there on track for you. And a lot of these drivers have been saying it's one of the toughest races they've ever had to do, because they've had to be so alert to every move and where they've had to place themselves.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we've had some races this week, and none of them have been like that. None of them have been. I mean, that one. I mean, I wouldn't sort of say it was reckless, but it was sort of almost like a free-for-all, Just go for a pass. If you want to go for a pass, just go for it, and, you'll be alongside sort of thing. It was just like that in the end. And so, I mean, I was trying to pass around the outside of turn 2 at one point. I haven't even thought of doing that in practice, but it was just crazy. It was nuts. I mean, regards to how fast Jorge and Oye were, I think they were a bit quicker than me in general. I was having a bit of trouble coming off the last corner, really. So they was sort of getting a bit of a gap every now and again. But I think I was a lot stronger on the brakes. I mean, some of them look like dive bombs. They're not. I can just about control it. I'm not sort of like sliding in like we've all done this week. Sliding in from miles back and sort of heading off into the old oval. In turn 1. So yeah, but just absolutely bonkers, mate. It's one of the best races I've ever had.
Do you think that will continue when Thruxton comes along in 7 days?
I think it'll be a bit tougher. I think a certain alien from wherever he's from might turn up there and show everyone what's going on. But I think it'll be a good race at Thruxton. I mean, you know yourself how much that place flows and how much you can take out the curbs in the 49. I mean, you can just hammer the curbs in the 49. So those chicanes are going to have no, they got no chance, against that car. So yeah, it'll be a good one, yeah.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck. Commiserations on the result today, Mick, but hopefully we'll see you back up near the front next time out.
Yeah, cheers, Jake. Cheers, mate. See ya.
Mick Claridge there joining us and not having the result that maybe he would have wanted. Ryan's taken another little walk down here and he's found one of our good friends here at the Global Sim Racing channel, who always loves to chat with us, Cam Porter, along with Ryan Walker right now.
Yeah, and Cam joins me now. And Cam, that looked like, from what I saw, a quiet race for you. You finished in, let me check, you finished in 14th. How was that for you?
I am thrilled to finish 14th, actually, because a couple of reasons. Number one, I had a couple of fellas that were racing me pretty hard, and what I felt made desperate moves, and there was some car contact, and unfortunately both of them spun out or crashed, and I was able to keep going with no damage somehow, so that was kind of a miracle. And number two, when I woke up this morning, I looked at the clock and it was 28 minutes before the race time, so never turned a wheel here until like 20 minutes before the race started, so I didn't have much practice coming into this race, so I am very happy to be 14th today.
Yeah, what did you think of the to cut the car and truck combination? Do you think the 49 suits this track and suits this layout?
Oh, yeah, I love coming to Fuji, no matter what the car. And I think it's nice and wide, provides good racing. It was probably a little bit closer up front, of course. I was kind of by myself. I was just a few seconds behind the guys ahead of me and a few seconds ahead of the guys behind me, so at least near the second half of the race. But yeah, just happy to put in some good laps. I made up some time near the end where I was putting in some better laps. So I think if I had had some more practice, I might have been able to maybe do a little bit better.
And quickly looking ahead to Thruxton next week as well. Have you raced that car in the not in this series, but the IMSA Vintage Series, I believe it is?
Yes, I did. I'm just coming out of a race a couple of weeks ago at Thruxton in IMSA Vintage, so hopefully that track will be fresh in my mind. A completely different car, the Audi, compared to the Lotus 49, but I like variety. I love the historic cars, and especially going to historic tracks like Thruxton.
Well, again, congratulations on your P14 result, Cam, and look forward to see you on track. Hopefully, are you planning to do the vintage race late in a bit?
Unfortunately, I can't make the IMSA Vintage races on Saturday anymore. I have other commitments I do. But thanks a lot, guys, for the great coverage every week, especially Ryan. And we'll see you next week.
It's our pleasure, and thanks for joining us, Cam. And that was Cam Porter joining us. And I believe that's about it, Jake, for the interviews.
Yeah, and that will be the curtain closing here from Fuji Speedway. It's been a wonderful showcase of driving we've seen up and down the order, and I want to give a thanks to the entire team who has brought this show over to you here today, from Ryan Walker, who's been alongside me, Christian Deploy in the director's chair, and Dougie Beard, who's provided your camera pack over towards us. But there is still a lot of racing this weekend with the Global Sim Racing channel. You don't want to miss out on any of it. IMSA Vintage will be hitting later today at Mount Panorama Bathurst, and then tomorrow's double header will bring itself into play. The Skip Barber Race Series will be jumping early doors at the Motor City Detroit Belle Isle, and the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series will be taking on the legendary Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. Next week, of course, 1 week from today, we'll be back with Grand Prix Legends. That will be at Thruxton, so you do not want to miss that at 13:30 or 1:30 UTC, 2:30 GMT, or if you are up there and looking for what you need, Eastern District 9:30. You want to be there for that. But when it comes to racing like this, it is one where you've just got to find the knack of survival. Any small mistake will cost you a shot of victory, and one driver was the hungriest of the lot when he wanted this victory today. Oye Samayoa will pick the victory up, and he said it was the race of his life. He threw everything he could to make sure that he would be at P1, and he walked away with it with a couple laps to go. Will it be more of the same, or will a living legend bring himself back into play? Watch out for Valentarius next time we are racing. We will see you in 7 days' time when we tackle Thruxton.